plenty to talk about and plenty to do. So get the gossip, get the scoop, and tune right into the editorial to keep you in the loop. It's the editorial, a Wichita by EB podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the editorial, a Wichita by EB podcast. It's time to get your pinkies up because of our guest. She is the one and only Whitney Stratton. You may have known her with a wine
to you.
Wine to you. I was going to say wine to Whitney for some reason. I was like, that doesn't make sense, but yeah.
You can bring wine to me. That's
okay.
fine.
All right. We'll do that. For wine to you, and my co-host today is the Kansas gastronomist.
What's going on, Mr. Eddie?
All right. Well, we're going good. Whitney, you want to tell us a quick, brief synopsis about yourself and wine to you?
Sure.
All right.
So, Wichita native, went to K-State, studied hospitality, and got into the wine business pretty much right off the bat. Always loved interesting food and wine, and that was kind of the path I took after college. So studied through some sommelier courses and the Wine and Spirits Education Trust out of England to further my education. And
so how long have you been in the wine industry?
Just over 13 years total.
And that led everything to Wine to You, which is a side hustle, so to speak?
Yeah.
And what's that exactly?
So I do private wine tastings, and I'll do cellar inventory for people, help plan their vineyard travels, all encompassing.
So what does cellar inventory mean?
So some people have so much wine in their home that they need it to be inventory to put in a database.
Okay.
And the database is called Cellar Tracker. So I basically will input that so they can see what they have real time, what needs to be consumed now before it goes bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really neat.
How long until a bottle of wine goes bad, typically?
It depends on the wine.
Okay.
And depends on how well it's been stored. Lots of factors.
Okay.
But this program can identify that and tell you, hey, you need to drink this.
Wow, that's impressive. I guess they could also use this information in case they want to sell. Is that the concept of cellar inventory?
Insurance purposes.
Wow.
All that.
Is there a pretty big reselling scene?
Value for divorce, you name it.
Oh.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. That's incredible.
I mean, some people, I know a couple of my friends, they have whatever in their basement, wine cellars. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they collect wines and it's interesting. I'm going to have to let my friends know.
What's the most, well, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sure, who knows, but what's one of the more expensive bottles of wine?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, or the amount. Like, what's the highest you've ever seen?
Ever seen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's quite a few.
More than $50,000
for an individual bottle?
for one
not
bottle.
Typically.
Yeah.
I mean, not what you'd see around here. I mean, I think I'm surprised how high priced some of the whiskeys are. The
Yeah.
allocated whiskeys, honestly.
Oh my gosh. Don't
Yeah.
get me started on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, what's an expensive bottle of wine? What?
I mean, locally you could find something maybe $1,500 or something.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
really that's more, again, kind of an allocated thing that you'll find either in bigger markets or through auctions and stuff like that.
Okay.
You have to really appreciate wine to
Spend $1,500
or just
on a bottle.
have the money and say, screw it, I'm just going to buy it.
But it could be an investment
Yeah.
too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how quick you need to drink it and offload it, right?
So that
Sure.
$1,500 bottle of wine, like how long what's the shelf life on that?
Oh, well, that would be a pretty good bottle of wine. So I'd say, I mean, some of them can last 20, 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Before you, yeah.
That's impressive.
I'll be dead in 30 years. So,
So you had mentioned earlier about a class or course that you took based out of England, something trust. What was the name of that?
The Wine and Spirits Education Trust.
Can you tell me more about that and why you chose that particular course? I mean, I assume there's other options out there.
Sure, yeah. So there's basically two routes you can take in terms of like wine education. You can go the sommelier route, which is service-based restaurants.
and what's
Sommelier.
sommelier?
Yeah, not some Somalian.
Have you ever even heard of that, Eddie?
I mean, in recent years I have, but like I told you earlier, I really thought it stood for someone from Somalia. But it makes sense if you think about it.
I just wanted you to admit it to our
Hey,
audience.
I have the brain capacity of a 5-year-old, so
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's
Okay.
a specific term.
But
for
you
sure.
could go that route, and then
Huh?
you said there's another route you can go?
Route.
Or,
Yeah, so basically that would be the
Now, hold
master.
on. Route or route? I mean, come on. Route, that's okay, right?
I would say route, but that's all
Yeah,
right.
so do I.
All right. We will address this off audio.
Okay.
Yeah, so or you can go more the business route, which is going to be the master wine program. And
Okay.
that was, so what I did was kind of a precursor leading up to that.
Okay. So is that something you're exploring, completing? And maybe that's not the proper term to use, but
So if I were to continue, I'd go into the diploma program, which would be pretty intense, lots of money, lots of travel, lots of education, which is wonderful, and I'd
Sure.
love it. But having 2 young kiddos and working a full-time job and side hustle makes it hard.
yeah, absolutely. So how did you choose this particular course that you got your certificate in, or
So I knew I wanted to do more of the retail business side because I really had no interest in restaurants in terms of the hours and all of that with a family. But obviously I enjoyed dining. I just, that wasn't the professional route I wanted to take. So I ended up going in the,
So back at K-State, you said you got your degree in restaurant hospitality management. Is that right?
Yeah,
And did you know that whole time that you did not want to get into restaurants?
kind of. I thought I wanted to do event planning
Mm-hmm.
okay,
and then
Events to You by Whitney.
events to you?
Uh-huh.
No. So I had an internship in Colorado at Keystone, and I remember all the bridezillas that would come through, and I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And I was reading a book about wine and ended up like highlighting things and thinking I want to learn as much as I can about this. And that was kind of my inspiration.
And this was after college, correct? Or you said
During.
it was internship? Okay.
Do you remember the name of the book?
It was Red, White, and Drunk All Over by Natalie McClain, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
don't know how to read, so you're asking the wrong person. So, Whitney, you were kind enough to bring a bottle of wine.
Of course.
You want to let the listeners know what we're drinking?
Sure. So tell me what you learned, Eddie, about how to hold a glass.
So I learned that you hold a glass by the stem
How come?
because TKG, if you hold it, if you cup it, and you kind of hold like the whatever this part's called, the
Bowl.
the bowl,
Okay.
you warm the wine. It's a big no-no. I mean,
What if you like warm wine, though?
then cup the hell out of it. You know?
Okay.
And real quick before we get into the type of wine, like where did the whole thing with the pinky start? Like, do you know?
I thought that was more kind of like with tea.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think
Right?
you're thinking of tea
Really?
You hold the
And-
little.
in England.
I put my
Right.
pinky up every time I drink water.
Any type of glass or cup? Doesn't matter?
If I'm trying to be douchey, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Or bougie. Douchey or bougie.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wouldn't that be like 100%?
99.9.
Okay.
If I'm drinking, apple juice, my daughter, I'll put my
Uh-huh.
pinky down because I want her to, imitate me.
This is really good wine, by the way.
And
Just a little
so
sip.
what is it again now?
So this is from France, 2014 Domaine Tempier from Bandol, which is, the grape is called Mourvedre,
Okay.
spelled like it's Mourvdre.
Okay.
So you don't say the re at the end. A lot of people want to say Mourvedre, but it's just like saying the Louvre is the Louvre.
Okay.
It's not the Louvre,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. I say Louvre.
So what region or area of France would that be from?
Southern France, Bandol.
Southern. Okay. So have you been to France?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me about it. When did you go?
So studied French through high school, went with like the French club,
Okay.
and then went again with college. Got my minor in French and did kind of Paris and Loire Valley, Normandy that time, and then went back again with my cousin in, I think it was like 2011.
So you've been to France 3 times.
I have, yeah.
So high school, college, and then adult life or whatever.
Right.
Is it France or is it France?
France.
France.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this bottle. It is 11 to 14% by volume.
Alcohol,
Yeah.
ABV.
Why is it not a definite?
You know, that's a good question. They'll have to pay higher taxes if it's over 14%.
Okay.
So I think they just kind of do that as a
Somewhere in there.
yeah.
And it says La Magua. What is that term?
I think it's
That's
definitely pronounced Magua. I don't know. I can't see from here, but it's got to be Magua.
Magoo? I don't know.
I think that's a vineyard.
Okay, and it is
Or the name of the wine.
Imported by Kermit Lynch Wine Merchant, based out of Berkeley.
Yes.
And do you guys pronounce that California? Because like Tupac and Biggie taught me it's California.
California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be right.
so I'll get my pronunciations right.
You're dead on. I want to hear a little bit more about France. So I've been to France just once, I believe. So you said you went to Normandy, you went to Paris, you did the Louvre, obviously all that. Did you make it to wine country?
Well, in the Loire Valley, yes.
Okay.
And I've been to Avignon, which is in southern France, but I was so young at the time I didn't know what I was really where I was.
Yeah.
So I'd love to
Sure.
go back at some point.
Because southern France is where the French Riviera is, or am I wrong about that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's part of wine country,
Lots
right?
of rosé.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wonderful.
Okay. Fascinating.
Is Champagne considered a classification of wine, or is that totally separate?
Region.
Region?
Out of Champagne,
France.
France.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it only has to be made in Champagne, France, to be considered champagne.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's sparkling wine.
Right.
Okay.
Very good.
Kind of like, that's kind of like bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon and whiskey.
Right?
Bourbons
Sure.
have to be made in America, I believe.
Yeah.
Or the barrels have to be.
Correct. They do have to be made. What has to be made in Kentucky? Isn't there
It's bourbon and
I thought
percentage of corn.
Okay.
I'm so bad.
Have you
about
ever
that.
seen that movie? It's on, I forgot, Netflix, something like that. It's called Bourbon or something like that. It's something like that. Some stupid and simple. But it talks about the history of bourbon and how, so I haven't finished it yet, but halfway through, it talked about how, like, with bourbon, it has to be in the barrel.
Yeah.
Has to be like a certain age or whatever. It has to be made in whatever. I think, I could be wrong here, but I think bourbon originally started as it had to be made in Kentucky.
And
But-
now it doesn't have to be, though?
Don't quote me. Don't quote me on
So-
anything in life.
So I know what you're saying. Some people say is true. I don't know if it is. I literally 2 days ago was out in Lake of the Ozarks, and I went to Ozark Distillery and Brewery, and I actually posted a photo of a plaque on the wall that outlined difference between bourbon whiskey, Irish whiskey, Canadian whiskey, and one other item, but it said bourbon whiskey must be made in America. It didn't say Kentucky, but yeah, that's what I thought was there's something about if it's made in Kentucky, then it anywhere else it cannot be called X.
Well, it's similar to cognac because there are American distilleries that will make something similar to cognac, but they can't call it cognac because it's not from Cognac, France.
Yeah.
But it's similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's grapes.
It's pretty fascinating. Really, it's just the same concept of trademarking something and saying, hey, if it looks like what somebody else is known for, you can't use the precise name.
But there's also more to it because there's different appellations in areas in France that they will basically say, okay, so Champagne is specific because millions of years ago it was underwater and it was, that has changed and left a bunch of sediment. So it's kind of this chalky, specific soil type that is perfect for growing the Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier grapes for Champagne.
Okay.
So, I mean, there is something to be said for location, the soil type, the elevation, the amount of rainfall they get, the aspect of which side of a slope the vineyards are planted. So
what's your opinion of like the popularized bottles like Dom Perignon and Cristal? Probably made popular by rappers and whatnot. I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Those are luxury brands.
So
Yes,
are
they're
you paying
good.
are you paying for the names?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, they're good, but they're buying their grapes from somebody else that's growing them,
Okay.
and so they don't have as much. It's really a marketing thing.
Okay.
But not saying that they're bad, but you can get a really good bottle of champagne for, $50 if you look in the right place.
I think I spent $250 on a bottle of Dom P.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The Shockers, when they went to the Final Four that year, the first game of the tournament, they played Gonzaga, who was the number 1 team in the country. And my friends and I were like, let's just go buy a bottle of Dom P. Because, if they lose, we had a great season. We're going to celebrate with this bottle. If they win, we're really going to celebrate.
Sure.
They ended up winning.
Yep.
They're 1 team in the country, and we popped the bottle. And it was like, maybe it was just the jubilation experience that evening, but it was the best. The best
Yeah.
moment and drink ever,
Yeah.
Fast forward years later, it was my 35th birthday or something like that. I don't even know. But we bought a bottle of Cristal for it. And we took it to Larry Bud's. Remember Larry Bud's?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The classiest place to have this bottle at.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we're like,
You grabbed a burger with it?
no, we didn't. We didn't
kidding.
drink that day. Or we didn't eat that day. We just drank.
Okay.
Then we had this bright idea. Hey, let's try to what's that term? We use a knife. Saber. We're like, let's just saber this bottle.
I've seen
Yeah.
Whitney Saber, I think,
Yeah.
on video. That's pretty cool.
Probably
It's
better.
easier than you think.
Well, I did it on my birthday. Granted,
Did you do well?
We started the day drinking. We had shots. It was like an all-day drinking festival, and we asked the chef in the back or the cook at Larry Bud's, like, "Hey, can we borrow a knife?"
Oh, my gosh.
And
they said yes?
oh yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
I mean they're not open anymore. But like, he goes like, "What do you need a knife for?" I'm like, "Well, we need to open this bottle up," and we sold this really good story. I was like, "It's my birthday, blah blah," and he gave us a knife. Well, anyways, we're sitting there. I have the knife. My friends like show me videos of how to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I remember I sabered it, got the top off, and I brought the knife back to me.
Mm-hmm.
As I brought the knife back to me, it hit the glass, so more shards of glass came off, and then it hit my hand. I cut my hand open.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Dangerous.
Yeah, and then we're like, well, we spent all this money on a bottle, and we have to drink it. And if someone drinks a shard of glass, it's what happens. It's life.
Oh, my gosh. I can assure you, if I would have been present, I would have, before you say it, I would have been like, Eddie, this is stupid. I'm not going to be part of it. I promise you. And I would have like walked outside and waited till you had completed the project.
I would have had a glass.
That's why all my friends were like, let's just drink it, because worst case scenario, we die. But we've lived a good life, and we made it to see the day, and here we are. We have a story to
So
tell.
you split your hand open though?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
So did you go anywhere that one might go when they split one's hand open?
Yeah, I went to Larry Bud's.
Okay.
Asked for some napkins, cover the blood up. Hopefully some didn't get into the bottle. If it did, oh well.
Do you have
Yeah.
battle scars?
I don't.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad that worked out.
Appreciate it. It's a good story to tell, 10 years later. So Whitney, tell us about Wine to You and how people can get, you over to their house, their event, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, I have my website, winetoyoubywhitney.com. And technically, right now, I'm having some issues with my email. So
Okay.
I need to figure out if I need to put my phone number on there. But texting, social media is probably the easiest way.
Which you're
honestly.
you're on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Your handles,
Wine to You by Whitney.
and that's WHITNEY.
Correct.
Okay. 'Cause some people spell Whitney with an IE.
With an IE.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen that?
Really? No.
There's a musician in town, I think Whitney means.
Oh, okay.
I think she spells it IE.
No.
A lot of people spell my name EDDIE. Kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
Some people do 2 T's in Whitney, but just one.
Yeah. Okay.
No, like Whitney Houston.
Wait, what?
Wait. Whitney Houston only has one T.
Yeah, I'm so,
Okay.
like mine's like
okay.
hers.
Oh yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
How were you so certain about Whitney Houston, by the way? There's no way I could have got involved in that. argument.
I love Whitney
How she
Houston.
spelled it.
Do you?
She is a legend.
Well,
yes.
no, I know she's a legend, but I mean, I don't sit there analyzing her name that often.
I mean, I listen to her in my car every now and then. She has such upbeat music. I mean, her voice is like the GOAT.
Okay. All right. Well, I learned
She's got the
something new
vocals,
about you
yeah,
just
she's got the
every
vocals.
podcast.
Hey, I love music. I mean, I listen to all sorts of music.
I know you do. I know you do.
So going back to Wine to You. So someone reaches out to you. You reach back out to them and you ask what their needs are, do a little consultation, and you kind of walk them through the type of wines that they want.
Yes. Anything, like
Yeah.
any budget, any theme, we can just kind of roll with it and have fun. That's what the whole point is.
And I think one of the misinterpretation is not the right word. The myths of wine is it's a bougie drink. You have to have a lot of money to drink it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something we talked about earlier is it's very affordable, probably more affordable than like beer.
Depends.
Yeah. I mean,
Depending
with
on what you
the
drink,
craft beers anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
And like my main thing is wine is not common knowledge. It's not something you just, especially here in the United States, we don't grow up. That's not necessarily our culture like it is in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And so people get intimidated by it and think that it's, oh, this is too fancy for me or whatever. But, I wouldn't have a job, educating others about it if it were something you should be expected to know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Could you give the audience and me, 3, 4, 5, however many you want, wines, I don't know, under $10, under $20, whatever number that you'd recommend? Did I put you on the spot?
I mean, it's like
under a certain amount.
Sometimes someone asks like a food blogger, they'll be like, "Hey, what's a good place to eat under $15?"
I know, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so lately I've been drinking a lot of, I'm just going to give you kind of a genre. Like there's a lot of really good Portuguese red blends.
Yeah.
Really good priced. I think one of them's like Castelo d'Alba is one of them.
Castelo d'Alba. Okay.
Yeah, D''Alba.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Super affordable. I also I just did a post about a white Bordeaux Blanc. That's like $15 that you can find locally.
Okay.
Super refreshing and just, it's nice for summer.
Mm-hmm.
I like a nice sparkling wine, like inexpensive cava. So Spanish sparkling wine.
Okay.
Especially when it's, in the morning.
And a sparkling wine would be like what
Like
we talked
cereal?
about before, kind of like a champagne, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But cava is the equivalent in Spain for sparkling wine.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got
but
it.
you can get a nice cava for like $13, $14.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that because sometimes when I'm tasked with going to buy a bottle of wine, like I'll just look at price tags. And I'm like, oh, it's like, $50, $60, so it must be a nice bottle. So let's just go ahead and buy it. So
yeah,
I'm glad. I'm going to go back, listen to this recording, take notes, and start buying those bottles. And I'm going to tell people, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a $90 bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And they drink it, then I'll tell them the truth. I'm like,
kind of like a blind tasting.
yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to have a thing called, Wine to You by Eddie.
Yeah.
With the exact
You gonna
same
compete with me?
A competitor block.
Dude, that's not what this is
Oh,
about.
yeah, you're right. Maybe you can hire me, and I can help you get more events. And I can be like comic relief at the events.
Okay.
By just being present.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. TKG. What do you like to drink?
I like dry wines. So I like Cabernet Sauvignons for reds. I don't mind a Merlot, but not my preference. I like Cabernet Francs. I like Pinot Grigios. I like Syrahs. I know you mentioned a Syrah earlier, and I forgot to mention that before. But I like dry wines. And actually, I was going to ask you this to answer this question. I really like the international wines or imported wines, however you want to say it, whatever the right way to say it is, because so many of them are blends.
Sure.
And I know at one time, I believe I was taught the reason why a French wine may be 30% and 40% and 30% 3 different wines versus here in America, it's like, no, there's your Cabernet Sauvignon. What do you, I guess, do you know any knowledge about that or have any reason for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of it has to do with, especially like in Bordeaux and France, they have issues with their weather. So one year, one vintage, their Cabernet Franc may do better. So they want to increase the percentage of their Cabernet Franc in the blend. So it allows, or even like pests, they could have issues with pests or like mildew, rot, whatever. And it allows them to kind of make the best of what they can in that certain vintage. So that's a big reason. But they've really studied the soil type and which grapes are more conducive for that area. But also in America, so Robert Mondavi he was a pioneer in our industry when it came to wine. And he wanted to call things, okay, this is a Chablis, but it's Chardonnay. And he couldn't call it Chablis because it's not from Chablis. Just like we were talking about Champagne, can't be Champagne.
And where's Chablis at?
And Chablis in Burgundy, France.
Okay.
So yeah, the French were like, no, this is a place. This isn't. And so then he started saying, okay, well, to get around this, I'm going to start calling things, this is Chardonnay. This is my Cabernet Sauvignon. That was kind of his way to get around it. And Americans, we identify with that now. We don't understand the concept of blends like they do in Europe.
So how does someone go about saying, hey, I'm going to create a whole new category of wine and it's going to be only from this region? Like, at what point someone's like, I made a wine in Chablis, so I'm going to call it Chablis wines or Champagne. Like, could we theoretically, I love hypotheticals, could we start a wine here in Wichita? I'm like, it's a Wichita blend. You know?
Could, but nobody would know what in the hell you're talking about.
Wichita?
But I think you could.
Yeah, I mean, you could. So in America, we call them AVAs, American Viticultural Areas. Okay. And they're basically geographically, legally recognized growing areas.
How many wine producers are in like the Wichita area, do you know?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, we have a pretty good presence here in Wichita.
What's the one up north? The
Grace Hill.
Grace Hill.
Grace Hill.
Yeah, they do
I've
a
been
great
there.
job. They do a great job.
They have a lot of sweet wines
Okay.
for me, which I appreciate, but it's just not my palate. But
Yeah.
I know they do have like one Merlot or kind of medium bodied red, but I don't think they have like a dry red. But I might be wrong.
So part of the reason for that is we have extreme heat, extreme cold. We're not a temperate climate here in Wichita, Kansas.
You don't say.
Yeah, imagine that. So the typical grape varieties that you see, like Cabernet Sauvignon, are Vitis vinifera variety.
That's over my head.
A different species is called Vitis labrusca, and that is what you see like Chambourcin and the more local grape varieties that we have, because they can tolerate that heat and cold, but they tend to be sweeter.
Got it.
So that's
why
the reason.
That makes
There
sense.
used to also be another one, Jenny Dawn Sellers.
Yeah. But she sourced outside of, she
Okay.
was not,
Okay.
she was local, but the grapes came from, I think, mostly California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what she's up to?
I don't.
Okay.
We lost Jenny Dawn.
Yeah.
We just lost Alzavino. Did I say that
know.
correctly?
Did you go to Alzavino?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I went there probably
Sad.
10 times.
Really?
Yeah, 8 times, something.
I mean, I'm not a huge wine guy, so I mean, I've gone 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
First time I went was like when they first opened, and I was like, I was strictly there to write a blog. I was like, I'm gonna check it out, let people know. I don't really know much about wines, like I said earlier, but I did something there that probably got some question marks.
I don't remember this.
You weren't there.
What'd you do?
Have you ever heard of a kamikaze, like a quick trip,
Oh my gosh.
to where you go and pour every
You mean
single
a suicide?
or suicide, yeah.
Why did you do that?
Where you go, you pour every single
He's trying to make
flavor
his
of
own
pop
blend.
Oh my
into a
goodness.
cup and you drink it.
You did that?
Or were you just trying to make your own blend?
I was just trying to make a suicide or a kamikaze, basically.
That's
I did
disgusting.
it. One of the people I was with another couple other food bloggers. They thought it was funny. Not a single other person there thought it was funny. And it tasted, I mean, like I said, my palate's not for wine. I don't know much about it, so it tasted the same to me. But yeah, that's what I did.
Wow. I feel bad.
Uncultured? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very uncultured.
No,
No.
you're not uncultured, but that's disgusting. Quite disgusting.
Really? Is it that bad?
It's a waste of money.
I waste, as a blogger, you waste a lot of money.
Oh.
Like you think about all the places you go out to eat.
Oh my
and
gosh. Yeah.
some of the bad dishes you have. I mean, I went to one restaurant 6 different times before I found that they were open. So like all the gas I wasted. It's just, you know.
So speaking of restaurants, what are your favorite restaurants in town that have for their wine
For their wine.
or drinks
TKG, you would know that you better equipped to answer this.
that you feel like you go there and you're like, ooh, I know I can get a good bottle of wine here or glass?
Yeah. You know, Albero has a good mid-priced wine. They typically will have like a special. Sometimes I don't know if they still do since they closed their old location, but they used to have like a bottle there on the table and it's like $20 or something like that. Obviously the fancy places, Napoli, Newport, Scotch, you know.
Have you been to Bubbles yet? Inside the workroom?
I have not been to Bubbles inside the workroom, but we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But I know very little, so tell me more.
So good.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Whitney's probably more
Whitney,
equipped.
you've been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about Bubbles.
Well, I'm biased because I kind of help them curate their menu, their wine list, but it's
Okay.
really cool. So underneath the Eaton, the new workroom,
Yep.
they have created this amazing space, cool vintage bar. The ambiance is amazing. And then you've got a list of all sparkling wines you can choose from, by the bottle, by the glass. I think they had some cocktails, and then the champagne of beers, which is Miller High Life.
Yeah. The gold cans.
I'll stay away from
Yeah.
that champagne. That's not my thing.
That was actually one of the very first beers I drank growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
Natty Light for me.
Really?
But that was just because Grandpa had it, and
Champagne, I mean, Natty Light was
Yeah.
what we did in college, but champagne beers was cheaper at that time. The workroom, Bubbles, opened by Janelle King. A lot of people in the community know her.
Paige Jordan, too.
Yeah, okay. Huge champion for Wichita. To answer your original question, Whitney, like I said, a lot of places I go to, I just drink whatever's put in front of my face. But I did go to Newport recently, had a client lunch or meeting there, and we had a few bottles. Excellent place. Oh, yeah. What?
sorry, I cannot believe I forgot Wine Dive. I mean,
Wine Dive's great.
out of all the, I mean, their selection might be the best selection in Wichita.
They're like
but
in the Wine
you can-
Spectator magazine for the selection, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I
No.
think they might have the best selection. I mean, or largest selection anyway.
I really respect Brad Steven, and he's very, very knowledgeable when it comes to
Yes.
wine. And he travels a lot, learns a lot about wine, very dedicated. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What other places are there? Like Scotch? Don't they have like a huge collection of
Scotch.
what do you call those glasses?
Riedel,
No, they
like the ones you're drinking out of.
no.
Oh, you mean the decanters?
decanters? Yes.
Ah, okay.
Like a
Yeah.
fancy collection of decanters.
Mm-hmm.
Other places like
6S on the west side.
yeah.
12 probably, though I don't know if I've actually drank wine at 12.
What do you think about Bella Luna's wine selection? I only know because I went there a while back and we had a bunch of wines.
I think it's decent. I
It could use
you
could
would-
use some love.
Okay.
Could it? Okay.
I usually just get rosé.
You just
There.
I don't know that I've had a glass of wine maybe twice at Bella Luna, but
I'm only talking about client dinners I've gone to and order wine. Like honestly, when I go to a restaurant and order a drink, it's usually a cocktail.
Yeah.
But great places for cocktails. To answer your question, Belmont, they have a good selection. Another place I recently went to that I really enjoy. Have you been to Good Company in Revolution?
No.
I've been up there a couple
Yeah.
times. It's pretty cool.
Very cool
Revolution,
spot.
the shipping container mall,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, very cool spot. I actually judged a cocktail competition last year, and the winner of it was, oh my gosh, was it at? Yeah, it was from Good Company.
Which cocktail competition was it?
This is Univita hosted it. It was
Okay.
an Oddfellow,
Okay.
and they had maybe 12 to 15 mixologists there.
Mm-hmm.
and they just made cocktails all afternoon. And we just drank.
It's a pretty cool vibe
Yeah.
there at Good Company. You can get, shout out to them. You can get a couple different appetizer type
Pizzas.
food, pizza.
Yeah.
It's on the second floor of Revolucia. And it's been there for a minute. They're not relocating, are they?
So they have another location over in the former Leslie's Coffee
Oh,
Company.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they just opened that.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
You can bang
I'm
the
sorry.
table. You can bang the table all you want. Yeah. So-
You always say I can't, Eddie.
You're not a guest, really.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like when you're at your house, your family
Yeah.
can't do certain things, but your guests can.
You treat the ones that you love the worst. That's
Yes,
what you're
exactly.
telling me.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
My kids.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, quick question:
Yes.
were you into wine when you were in college?
Yes. So, what's funny is I started kind of being opinionated about beer because everybody else was drinking Natty Light. And I'm like, no, I'm drinking PBR
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
early on. And then I kind of got to the point where I'm like, started buying like the big 1.5 liter of Yellowtail and that's kind of where it started.
So, did you do drinking games with the wine?
Not wine, no.
No. Okay.
Can
No
you do a
way.
drinking game with
Yeah,
wine?
so I'm asking this
You
question:
shouldn't.
how many times have you ever played Slap the Bag?
I don't even know what that is.
See, I never even played it, but I just know what it is.
You've
I
never
played
played it
Edward
ever?
40 Hands.
So you've never played Slap the Bag ever?
I never
Ever?
played it.
I never
TKG?
heard of it.
Never-
That's a hangover waiting to
I
happen.
mean, that's part of drinking games, For the listeners that don't know what Slap the Bag is, it's you take the box wine, like Franzia, take the bag out.
That's already, disgusting, but okay.
Well, that's part of living life.
Yeah.
And you pull the bag out and you drink straight from the bag, and you're like pretty much chugging it. It's like a reverse keg stand essentially, where the bag's on top of your face. You drink as much as you can, and then once you're done, you slap the bag as hard as you can, and leave
The
a
first
really.
person to slap the bag wins.
Do you know how much sugar that is?
It's got to be
I
a
don't
lot.
pay attention to sugars, calories, and that stuff. You can't as a blogger because it'll just be depressing.
Fair.
You can also do Edward 40 Hands with the bottles of wine. I don't think this is 40 ounces, is it?
More than that.
Yeah.
750
You
milliliters.
can play Edward 750 Hands then in that case.
Yeah.
There's games like Presidents and Assholes. You could have played with a bottle of wine.
How about that?
The options are endless.
You know way more drinking games
play-
than I do.
you can play-
I don't know.
You can have champagne pong. Yeah.
Have you ever played Wizard Sticks?
No, I don't do nerdy games.
It's not nerdy. It's not nerdy.
Well, explain to me what Wizard Sticks is again.
So you weren't paying attention when I was telling you earlier, actually.
Correct, 100%.
So you take your crummy beer, but you could have nice beer
Why does
too.
it got to be crummy
It
beer?
doesn't have to be. But I would assume that most people that are playing this game are not drinking high quality beer,
So not like Wizard of Hops from CSB.
which
It was
is
just
my
like
favorite
it's so good.
beer, by the way.
I mean, Wizard Sticks with Wizard of
That
Hops.
would be
That
good.
would be a problem.
So
That would
can
be-
we do that then? Can we go to CSB and play Wizard Sticks?
So Central Standard, will you guys let us? So here's how it works: is we would finish the first can of Wizard of Hops, and we would set each of our cans aside, and then we would finish our second can of beer of Wizard of Hops, and then we tie them together, tape them together.
what kind of
and that's
tape?
Duct tape, preferably duct tape.
The Scotch wouldn't be good.
No, Scotch tape doesn't work.
Just making sure.
You tape those together, and that's the beginning of the formation of your wizard stick. And whoever's got the biggest stick at the end of the affair ends up winning the competition.
So this game is conducive for people who are better drinkers. They can drink, more at a faster rate.
Absolutely. Though you get to some point where, certain people are inebriated enough that maybe they've sped up or slowed down.
Yeah.
And so, it's anybody's race. I will say this. The one time I played that game, which was more than 10 years ago, I got to the point where I inadvertently taped my recently finished empty can, to somebody else's stick. So they gained.
Oh no.
Yep. And that ended up being, the nail in the coffin for me. I ended up.
What's the longest stick that you've seen? Like how many cans? What was it?
I will not say how long my can was, but the person that won that competition, I'm pretty sure was like, okay, this is college, was like 25.
How many?
This was like Natty Light.
What duration of time? The whole entire night?
Yeah, I mean, hours and hours. Like, maybe start.
Yeah.
We're talking like camping. Started, 4 o'clock in the afternoon type thing.
I don't
and
camp, so yeah, I don't know.
You don't camp?
Not really.
What do you have against camping?
The
Just
outdoors.
because I said I don't camp doesn't mean
just-
But I hate mosquitoes. Mosquitoes love me.
I don't like spiders.
We were just
I don't like
talking about
spiders.
we just talked about camping the other day. Why were we talking about camping?
I don't know, but I'm not a big camper. You know?
I'm not either. I'm just giving you
Like
shit.
I really feel like I'm not trying to be egotistical but I feel like, and I don't think I'm a super attractive person, but mosquitoes I think find me more attractive than anybody else in this world.
Well, it's your blood type.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
It's absolutely. Mosquitoes do not bother me. Like,
Oh,
they don't
they
go
kill
after
me.
me.
Like
Do you know your blood type?
no, I don't.
I'm O positive. I know.
You're O positive?
Mhm.
Okay. Which is the universal donor for everything but O negative.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm O positive too. But they don't come after me. So
and you guys
we're
have
gonna
the same,
have
and
to,
you guys have the same blood
So
type.
did we just myth bust?
So it kind of like defeats
well,
what you guys are saying.
No, because we can't take one example and say that's the rule. I mean,
how many blood types are there? There's A negative, A positive, O negative, O positive.
Yeah. A, B,
What
O.
if-
C, D,
What
E,
if
F,
I
G?
happen to be like a random one, like F,
I don't think
like
there's
the first F,
the first F.
and they're like
What about the first
mosquitoes.
E?
The mosquitoes love F.
Mm-hmm. That could be. You love these hypotheticals.
Do you think people really like hearing this?
They might, a doctor could be listening to this right now and be like, Eddie could be onto something.
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, why else do mosquitoes eat the ever living shit out of me?
I don't know.
It's not the blood type because you guys just proved it wrong.
I don't know. You can't take one example and say, therefore, the rule. You and I talk about this all the time.
Okay. All right. Let's switch gears real quick. We've already discussed drinking games. We've discussed wine to you, which I think, side note, I think us bloggers need to have wine to you out for an event. I think it'd make for some good content. We'll get a chef to come out.
That'd be fun.
I'd love that.
I actually know some chefs that are wanting to get their name out. They do some private in-home stuff.
Absolutely.
I just talked to Chef Stan the other day.
About what we talked about?
Yeah.
Cool.
Shout out Chef Stan. He's a graduate of Niche. You ever heard of Niche?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
WSU.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's a former retired attorney turned chef.
Good for
Mhm.
him.
And he's doing like in-home events, whatnot. And I'm like, hey, we should do an event together. And I'm actually meeting with him this week.
Cool.
And we compare that, some food, some wine, some other bloggers, and just help get people's names out.
I ran into Chef Stan, about a month ago. He was at a private in-home party event that I just happened to be at, and he made some incredible, it was more just appetizers, it wasn't full meal, but made some incredible food, and I love the fact that he retired and is doing something that he's passionate about. So, yeah, we can combine that with some wine. That'd be awesome.
We'll have a consultation and find out what kind of wines that we like.
I'd love that.
Okay. So, Whitney,
Yes.
shift gears real quick again. So, you've been in Wichita most of your life.
Yes.
You'd say outside of your college tenure.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're familiar with the dining scene because you eat out. You said you love eating out.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some of your favorite restaurants in town.
Goodness.
Mm.
What if you go by genre?
By-
Mexican food.
La Chona.
Ooh, Taqueria
Okay.
La Chona. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Or TJ's. Is it
Tacos
TJ 64?
TJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, 664.
The birria. It's all about the consomme.
Yeah.
Have you
So good.
been
It's
to
good.
Chollitos Birriera
I
over on
love-
West Street?
You say Cholitas?
Chollitos.
Oh,
Chuytos.
no.
Yeah, it's over on West Street, across the street from the Bingo Casino, near Central and West Street.
I need to check that out.
Excellent consomme. Probably my
Mm.
favorite in town.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
And Tacos TJ 64, those are my favorite too.
Good to know.
What do you get at La Chona?
Whatever.
Yeah, it's like one of those places
And the
where
big like Michelada, like the big.
micheladas are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Italian food.
Napoli.
We're
I
at
like-
37th and Rock Road.
Right.
Yep.
Jeremy Wade's place.
Jerry Wade's great.
Favorite place to grab a glass of wine?
Or a couple of yours.
Yeah.
Well, if it's like a patio, I love Newport's patio, and I think that Steven, their sommelier, is excellent. So he's curated a nice menu. I like, if I want a nice, I do like bourbon and whiskey. I wish I knew more about it, but I do like Whiskey Dicks.
Mm-hmm.
Food's good too.
Excellent little dive. It's not even a dive because they're so busy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you kind of lose track of time when you're in there, like a casino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
You come out, you're
dark
like,
and-
what
Yeah.
time is it?
Did you do the WD-40 challenge there?
No, I
yeah.
heard about it though.
we attempted it.
The big burger? Is that
Yeah,
what
40,
it? Yeah.
40 ounces of, it was like 2.5 pound burger steak. Or
Eddie and
half
I heard it.
fries.
Yeah.
It looks like it's you could tackle it, and then you get into it and everybody's like,
I mean, a lot of people finished it.
Really?
it
Yeah.
was like a feasible challenge, but I'm pretty sure that was my last time. Like
Yeah,
I felt horrible and I didn't finish it. And I was texting Eddie and texting the guys, and I'm like, I'm never eating a burger ever again.
Do you feel like John Candy on Great Outdoors?
I don't remember.
You don't know that
John Candy
reference?
on Great Outdoors.
I've seen the movie, but
You know
it's
what I'm
been a
talking
long
about?
time.
It was a steak.
It was massive.
yes,
and he hated himself.
oh,
If he hated
so
himself, then I
good.
did
He
feel
did. He
like
hated
him.
himself. Yeah.
I did. I
He
did.
was miserable.
I actually Ubered there because I thought when I was done, since we were all there, I'd have some drinks, hang out. But 5 minutes after I was done, I was like, I have to go home. I hate myself.
Well, that's crazy because like 5 minutes in, I was done. I mean, everybody beat me in that challenge. I'm not built for those challenges, and it was misery. I think eating food for the next day and a half was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was like in my body still. I couldn't get it out.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I probably lost like 5 months off my life.
probably. That's why I'm never doing it again.
All right, favorite dive bar.
Dive bar. Gosh, when it comes to food or drinks or what?
So just
Hang
dive bar,
out.
ambiance.
The Cowboy's fun.
Cowboy,
I like-
Cowboy Insular.
Yes,
Oh,
it's like
over on
just
Central. Have you been there?
very
I
random.
I haven't even been there.
What?
No.
they have
No,
a
no,
really
no.
cool little patio area outside in the back. A lot of live
Yeah.
music there as well.
Where's it
And
at? On
it's-
Central where?
Central and gosh, I want to say St. Paul.
No,
Maybe?
it's like there's McLean.
Okay.
It's like right by the river, kind of.
Okay.
It's
So
right off.
west of downtown.
Right.
Okay. I have not been over there.
Yeah, it's St. Paul.
Okay.
St. Paul, 642 St. Paul, which is right by Central St. Paul.
Okay.
Well, that's a cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those like not so much. It's not so talked about spots. I think it's because when you think dive bars, a lot of people think south of Kellogg,
Yeah.
but that's
It's
definitely
a gym.
Yeah,
All the cowboy hats inside.
You'll have
Kinda
to take
fun.
me there sometime, Eddie. Will you do that?
I will.
Okay.
They have food there. I've been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Significantly Spicy. He's another local food blogger. He's played there before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. But I mean, I knew he's played at
Yeah.
different bars. But
Okay. Italian food. When you are at Napoli and you're ordering like a let's say a red sauce dish, like
Mhm.
what kind of wine would pair well with that?
So I think you would like this
Okay.
TKG.
Uh-huh.
Any Sangiovese
Mm-hmm.
typically. So like
Okay.
a Super Tuscan or Chianti would be great because of the acidity. The acidity in the tomato, the acidity in the wine
Mm-hmm.
kind of work well together.
Okay.
That makes
So.
sense.
Give me your top 3 favorite events in town.
Oh goodness. Okay. I really like Fashion Passion. Rainbows United.
Yeah.
I have not been to Fashion Passion.
It's fun.
Never. It's a good time. You get dressed up and I
Good
mean,
cause.
what's your name's always there giving away jewelry. Helen?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Helen, yeah. Galloway?
First
Helen
place.
Yeah,
Galloway.
first place, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, of course, dear to me is Kansas Children's Foundation Helianthus, their big event that they have.
I've never heard of that one. Which what is it called again?
Helianthus, which is the genus for sunflower
Okay.
name, because their emblem is a sunflower, and they help kids with, in the hospital, music therapy, dog,
Oh, that's cool.
dog therapy.
Have you been?
No, I'm
When's
learning
the
about
event
this.
usually
Sounds
take
neat.
place? Do you know?
So it's formerly, Wine, Women, and Shoes.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that one. Okay.
But it's been at Mark Arts just last year. It kind of switched over.
Is that where like the guys walk around in? Okay.
Guys walk around in what?
And they're called shoe guys. They help sell, like jewelry or
Yeah,
whatever. Like
okay.
try to raise money.
Yeah.
Got it.
Essentially.
Okay.
Like Al Bundy.
Like Al Bundy.
Yeah. With like selling shoes and jewelry and whatnot.
Like, where are we going right now? Love it.
Okay. Third event.
Goodness, I love. God, you put me on the spot.
Have you been to any food festivals? Like,
Locally?
yeah, like Taco Fest or Burger Fest or everything. Just take
Peach
a
Fest,
word.
Yeah. At the Word Fest. Have you been
Pickle
to
Fest.
Midwest Wine Festival?
I have. Honestly, I'm not huge on really big festivals. I'd rather attend like a nonprofit,
Yeah.
something that will benefit the community and
Yeah.
Like Death
I
by
mean-
Chocolate or Zubilee?
yeah. Yep, those are always good.
Yeah.
Zubilee's fun.
Death by Chocolate is good too.
You've never been to Death by Chocolate TKG?
I've never been, no.
I told you need to get your ass out there one year. It's an awesome time.
I
They
know.
do a good job, and
I'll go if
I've gone the last like 5 years to Death
if
by
the
Chocolate.
same panel of judges are judges again for Death by Chocolate, I
Okay.
will go.
Have you been to Zubilee?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Multiple times.
I'm contemplating going this year. I've gone many years, but it's also the same night as Goo Goo Dolls at the
Oh,
Kansas State Fair, and I'm very torn about which one I want to go to.
We've got a couple festivals coming up. We have the Mojitos. What is it?
Margaritas and Mojitos,
Margaritas and Mojitos.
August 9th.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that one? Have you ever been to any festive ICT event, like a taco fest, brunch fest, margaritas, mojitos?
Where's Margaritas and Mojitos at again?
That one is at Brick and Mortar.
That's right.
oh, I love brick and mortar.
Yeah, very cool
Mhm.
spot.
But no, I've not.
It's a pretty much a margaritas and mojitos competition.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thoughts on Riverfest?
Thoughts on Riverfest? I'm not the biggest Riverfest person.
It's okay. What would make you change your opinion of that?
I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of people in one area, and it's kind of all over the place. I wouldn't know where to go. Oh, you know what I really like is the Open Streets ICT.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's great for my kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they love it. It's nice to get them outdoors. And
Which ones
I-
have you been to?
what like
So did you know there's 3 of them? 3 different open
They
streets.
have them in 3 different locations.
There's
Oh,
one over.
Douglas.
There's one over by WSU, one over in Nomar, and then the big one obviously is in Douglas,
Yeah.
which is like that's a big
And,
Only
and,
fun
Douglas.
party time. Yeah.
and it started on Douglas, but then they were like, which
Okay.
I think is really cool. The city was like, hey, we should try to put this in other parts of town to get other folks that maybe wouldn't be able to make it down to the one in Douglas. So that's why you have Nomar. And I think Nomar was the second one.
Correct.
Yeah.
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 And then they just launched WCU, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like right along 17th Street. My fraternity house is along there, and then you got WCU. So I went my first time this past year. It was cool.
nice.
I've been in the Nomar one, Douglas one. Haven't been in WSU one.
Okay.
So
Well, Whitney, I want to thank you for the bottle of. I'm gonna grab it so I can pronounce it. See what I got right. Here we go. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad I didn't grab the bottle.
Domaine Tempier?
Tempier.
Oh, it's a T?
That's
That looks like a C.
It's a fancy
curved,
T.
yeah. So
yeah.
for people who are listening, in France, the cursive, is that a cursive letter, I guess? Cursive T looks like a cursive C. It's pretty messed up.
It's just pretty, okay?
Tempier.
I thought you were going to say
Tempier.
Magoo.
Tempier? Is that an O or an E?
It's an E, but that's how they say it.
So E in France is like ah?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Depending, yeah.
Domaine Tempier.
Tempier.
Well, to the listeners, I hope you were all educated on this with all things France, wine, and whatnot. Whitney, real quick again, remind everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Probably best through social media. So Facebook and Instagram, Wine To You by Whitney is my handle.
Awesome. Well, TKG.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Any last words, TKG?
No, thank you for being here.
And
thanks for having me, Eddie.
thank you. The route to get here has been fun.
The route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the route.
Or the route or the route?
Oh, it's the route.
You know.
I mean, if
We'll talk off
if
air.
we're talking educated like this, all this French, pronunciations, I would say route.
What about root stock?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the root.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening in. We'll catch you next time.